In this video, we're going to look at the top 5 reasons that software testers can use to leverage AI really on their day-to-day tasks. So I'm curious about this. In general, I use AI for a lot of different things, but let's see what Claude has to tell us today. All right, it is thinking. And so I'm basically asking it to rank it from least to greatest. So the first one, which I can certainly support, is for test data creation or generation. So a lot of testers will use this to create data. So you may need to create a customer account, for example, with a valid street name, city, zip combination. So a lot of times you can use AI for this. There are situations, for example, I work a lot within insurance. And so you could probably leverage AI to give you vehicle information or VIN information as it relates to that. So I can certainly see where number 5 will certainly help to speed up the activity. And test generation has been used a lot, but there are a lot of tools out there and different libraries that can be used. But AI reason number 5 is certainly valid. So let's tell it. Yes, let's go on to reason number 4 and let's see what it comes back with. Test case generation from requirements. I'm a little surprised. I felt like this one would be a little bit higher up on the list, but I certainly feel like test case generation, especially if you have a lot of requirements, then you can leverage that to create test cases and many test cases from that. So it can be positive test cases, negative test cases. If you have API specific test cases, even if you have design documents, some people use Figma to create vibe coding, for example. But if you have workflows and things, then you can plug a lot of these requirements related information in order to derive and get test cases out of that. There's a lot of thought that goes into creating test cases, and that often comes with time. And so here it actually mentions the reason it's not higher is the output is only as good as the requirements. And most of the requirements documents are vague, contradictory, or missing acceptance criteria that really matter. AI happily generates 80 test cases for a feature where only 12 matter, and they can't tell you which 12 they are without human judgment. So this is one of the things that I've noticed, especially with doing some vibe coding and asking automation test cases to be created, is that they can create a bunch, but the value is not actually there, right? So you want to make sure that, especially with human in the loop, that you're taking that into account and that you're not just blindly accepting all the test cases that they're going to generate, because they're going to generate a bunch and some of those may not be that important. So it's definitely a good thought to have a first draft generated, and I certainly support that. But you can't replace the human in the loop, especially now. So I think it does do a good call out of that, and it does mention it. Yes, Claude, let's look at reason number 3. All right, and hopefully these are getting more important. So I have definitely used Claude and other things for bug investigation, logging, and really doing flaky testing triage. So I think this one makes a lot of sense. A lot of times this requires more of a senior level person to do research and investigation. It can certainly comb through logs pretty quick. And so I've taken Splunk logs and other things and put it into Claude and have it to do that analysis. And so I can certainly support that. And then, as we know, there's a lot of flaky tests, especially with automation. So I think leveraging some sort of AI tool to see which tests are most flaky, which test cases need to be fixed, I think there's a lot of value in that. And now it's saying, why is it not higher? Certainly, this is a reactive kind of a thing. You're investigating because something is already broken or something is already happening. And I think the other two, it's mentioning that these are more proactive for basically number two and number one. So I think that makes sense. And it mentions again the fact that a team running 1,000 test cases at night may not make a whole lot of sense. So I think it's talking about having more human in the loop. So I certainly support that. Yes, Claude, let's give us reason number two. So these are going to be more proactive, as it is already said. Okay, I can see this one: test automation, code generation, and maintenance. I can certainly see where I've seen a lot of people leverage Claude with Playwright, for example, or Claude with Selenium or Cypress. So I think this makes a lot of sense. It can basically take what we want to do in plain English and then convert that over into a different programming language and be able to leverage that skill and knowledge without having to spend multiple years trying to learn Java or Python or something else. Code generation is the obvious part, according to them. The hidden value is in maintenance. And we all know that 60 or 70% of automation typically is involved with maintenance. So I think this is a good call out from that perspective. And then it mentions having a strategic angle. AI can review existing automation suite and tell you what's wrong with it. Tests that are testing anything. So this has been a big complaint of mine over the years, is that you can have thousands and thousands of automation tests. You could spend all this money, 60 to 70% in maintenance, but what is the real value, right? So if you're running thousands of tests, but they're not finding any issues, what's the point, right? And then if you're running thousands of tests, you probably have a lot of duplication in there as it relates to testing coverage. So that doesn't make a whole lot of sense either, right? So the ability to be able to audit that and make sure that these things are valuable and that they need to be run over and over again, I think this is a key point from that perspective. And then why it's asking, why is this number two and not number one? So this one, number two, is about executing the strategy. And let's see something that really changes the strategy, which I'm guessing is number one. Yes, Claude, let's look at number one. All right. So this one should be pretty interesting. I'm guessing it has to relate to, yeah, so AI is the strategic partner for risk-based test design and exploratory testing. So a lot of us know you can create thousands and thousands of test cases, but we all know the compression that QA is under and the pressure to be able to develop and execute. But the running part is the part that we often struggle because the time keeps getting compressed and compressed. And you have to think about leveraging a risk-based testing model, right? So you want to understand what's the highest, what's the medium priority, and what's the lowest, right? And you always want to run the highest critical ones first, followed by the mediums. And if you get time to run the low, great. If you don't, forget about it, right? So one of the most valuable skills that a senior tester kind of brings to the table is not about how to write the test cases or even to automate. It's more about the judgment, right? You need to know what things are probably going to break. And a lot of times you use that knowledge and experience kind of gained over years to kind of help with that judgment, right? And so I think it's important for a lot of the senior engineers to focus on leveraging AI to build this practice and this strategy based on your knowledge and your information. It could be an application. It could be something else from that perspective. So the combination of the senior tester with the AI knowledge with the knowledge that the tester has about a particular application or a series of applications is really where the value is going to come in, right? So this also mentions exploratory testing, pairing with the tester and AI. And then you basically have the best of both worlds. You have the senior engineer who has a lot of knowledge and experience, and you have the AI tool. And so you partner those together, and that's really the best of both worlds, right? And so it's about those two things working hand in hand. So this is a big strategy shift. If you're a senior engineer and you're on the fence about automation, should you use automation? Should you not? Here's a pretty clear indication of how you could leverage AI to gain expertise and knowledge and information and really use that as a strategy person from that perspective. And so I think this is the next evolution. And it really shouldn't only be for the senior testers, but it should be for every tester, right? That should be the clear goal from that perspective. So I hope this has been helpful. It's definitely been eye-opening for me. And I will continue to create videos like this so that you can basically leverage AI with your skills in order to enhance or improve your capabilities as a software tester. Now, if you like this, please look at my other videos on the QA Revolution channel and like and subscribe, and I will talk to you later.